everybody, Charisse Viljoen, ready and waiting. I have decided to start this webinar out in the open. I am sitting in my garden. It's such a beautiful day in Cape Town, and we have been shivering in the cold, drowning in this beautiful rain that we need, but icy, icy cold. So I just couldn't bear to go inside while it was still light and warm outside. So here we are, the big aloe behind me, and ready to welcome you all. Today, I'm very, very pleased to have both Nomama Mei and Nondumiso Magija joining me, two women in botanical horticulture that I admire immensely. I've worked with them both at Kirstenbosch, where they started out, and currently they are both curators of their own botanical gardens within Sandby. Amazing women, really just leading the way with their plant passions and their beautiful styles. You'll see when they speak how lovely they are within and without, and then of course wherever they're placed as well. So lucky to be in their gardens. Nondumiso is from the Free State Botanical Garden, which I personally haven't ever had the pleasure of visiting. So I'm really looking forward to her presentation. And really what I asked them to do was to speak to their plant passions and to show us what's going on in their gardens and anything in the surrounding area. And Nomama Mei is at Kwelera Botanical Garden, our new botanical garden on East London coast, which is a baby botanical garden. She's just starting out with everything. She has very little infrastructure, but she has the most amazing natural elements between the beach and her natural forest. So I have been to see that garden very, very briefly, long time ago, just as it was starting. But both of them are personally exciting to me, celebrating both the woman and their botany and their horticulture. So let's start with Nondumiso. Welcome, so happy to have you. Please go ahead, let's see what your garden has to show us. And from my garden, you should all be in your gardens watching the webinar today.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction, Cherise. It's good that we meet again. Well, I'm Nondumiso Magija. I've already been introduced. I hope everybody can hear me. I'm based at the Free State National Botanical Garden. My presentation is quite short. I'm just going to show you quickly. I'm on here now.
Yeah, you can proceed. You can just go to the next slide.
I don't want to say this. Okay, then in terms of my presentation, I'm just going to give you an overview of the garden so that you've got a little bit of context. Then also talk about the rationale for the plants that I've chosen and my approach into, plant life. So in terms of the overview, the garden is located in Bloemfontein, South Africa. I'm hoping that we've got people around the world is possible, but there we are in the center, central area of the country. The garden is not that big compared to other gardens like Kirstenbosch, but it's a wonderful garden. It falls under the grasslands biome. It's 66.8 hectares. The special features, it's about Namakaru vegetation, which is still being researched. We've got some historical significance as well. And what we are famous for also is that we've got cold, dry winters. We sometimes get into the minuses. For enjoyment, there are hiking trails, there are picnic spots, all the different activities that people can come and enjoy in the garden. So in terms of the plants that I've selected, I come from a background of, I would call it community horticulture, if there is such a word. More interested in the link between people and plants. So when I look at plants, I look at stuff that can grow easily. and everybody can know and enjoy quite easily. And the plants that I've identified, they are distributed in the Free State, but they can occur also in other provinces, or they do survive within the Free State, even if they are originally from other provinces. Then there's summer flowering, some they're all year round, but what I looked at really is what is in flower right now in the garden, or what usually flowers around this time in the garden. Focus also on predominantly water-wise plants and plants that are accessible to the general public. It's not something that is very unique that you will not see if you were to go around, maybe even if you're doing a hike, anything like that, then you could see these plants. So in terms of my approach, I'm here to have fun, and I hope you will have fun as well. I'm not gonna bore you with all the scientific jargon or anything like that, but it's just simplicity in terms of how I get to love my plants. So first, it's a few plants. It's not a lot of plants that I've identified, but these plants have got a special place in my heart. One of those is Aloe maculata. His common name is a soap aloe. We regard it as a ground cover. It's got orange, yellow flowers. And what I like about this plant, especially here in the Free State, we've got dry winters. The grass turns brown. And I come from the Western Cape. I've spent years, I studied that side. So when I came this side, I'm like, oh, it's so dry here. I wonder if I can get something flowering. And I was amazed to see this plant and many other aloes that are flowering in the area. It does occur naturally in the Free State, and it grows very well in well-drained soils. So in rocky areas within the garden, even if you go on the natural estate, you will find it. So it's still flowering right now. And it's a very nice feature if you're planning to have a rockery garden. Now, this one I would call the bulbine frutescens. This one is something that I can relate it to very well, because my gran was a gardener, serious gardener, and also very much involved in terms of medicinal plants. So we never really got to go to the doctors a lot. So this is one plant that is also a ground cover, very bright color, in terms of flowering. It's drought resistant. It can grow in most areas, and it survives, the winter of the Free State. And I know that we call it bulbinella or bulbine, but it's not really a bulb. So the name itself, sometimes it can be misleading, because it's not having like a bulbous, tubular or like onion type root system. So like I said, it's got a lot of medicinal uses. I think many people are aware of this plant. I like it very much, and it's currently in flower in the garden as well. So this one is our bright Scadoxus, which is in full bloom right now in the garden. We are obviously just into spring now, so it just started flowering. And we had, I think, a long winter, because many of the plants this time, they are already in full bloom, but some of them are not in full bloom yet. I think because of the delay in terms of the spring season. I think climate change is a reality for many people right now. So this plant is one of those that are like a star in the garden right at the moment, showing us that spring and summer is here. What I can say in terms of the takeaway with this plant, it is, the bulb is quite poisonous. So in terms of the research, they do say that there has been maybe some deaths that were reported when I researched it. And it's slow growing. It can take a long time when you're growing it, but it's worth the wait. So I'm sure for these beautiful flowers, one can wait that long. This one is also something that is ancient. Many people know about it. A common name is a pig's ear. It grows, I think, throughout the country, but it also occurs here within the Free State. We can classify it as a ground cover or a shrub. Depends. In some areas, it grows quite high, and it's got orange flowers. What is interesting with it is that it depends on the various growing or areas where it is being grown. In some areas, you will see that the color, the leaves will be very grayish. In some areas, you'll see that they're quite green. But what is important about this plant is got medicinal uses. It has been used for balls, especially with the Basotho people within the Free State, and I'm sure maybe in other parts of the country, there are people who are doing that. Earache, the dry leaves could be used to be placed on the balls. It's drought resistant. And in this garden, it's usually in color, for an extended period, during the year. So it's one of those showstoppers within the garden. This one, I had to learn a little bit when I was preparing this presentation. Many people know it as Osteospermum, but the name has changed to Dimorphothetica, to Cinder. And this plant is very beautiful in terms of having the flowers. It's growing quite easily. It's fast growing. It's a ground cover perennial. It's just one of those in the garden already. What you see right at the bottom picture there is what is already, in display within our garden at the moment. So it's quite a beautiful plant. The Felicia filifolia, subspecies filifolia, is also another shrublet which grows on the natural estate of the garden. We do have some also on the cultivated side of the garden. Which I didn't mention that we've got 66.7 hectares, 6.7 hectares of the garden is cultivated. So we've got plants that is a landscaped area, but we've got the vast of the garden is not cultivated. So when people are going through the walking trails or enjoying life, hiking, running, whatever that they want to do in the garden, they can get to see this wonderful plant. It's very hardy, it's water-wise, and I think it's a great addition to anybody's garden. So this one, Gibera, we've got, which is a common name, Babatin daisy. It's a perennial. We've got it in pink and orange. I think for me, the takeaway with this plant is that it's beautiful and it flowers for an extended period here in the garden. If we walk, it's right in the center of our garden. So every time we pass there, we will see it in flower most of the time. So it's one of my favorites as well to brighten up my day. This one also, Leonotis, I think it's a tested plant. It is growing throughout, I think, the country, but it also occurs here in the Free State. We've got a whole section within the garden that has got this plant. It's a shrub, orange flowers. It attracts a lot of birds, bees, and butterflies. It's easy growing. It's water-wise. There's a lot that can, be said about this plant because it also survives the winter here. What we do normally here in the Free State, when it's frosty winter, we cover some of the plants because they don't survive. But this one, we leave it as is, and we just prune it in spring, and then it comes back to life like this, with these beautiful orange flowers. So I think some of you may know that in grasslands, you don't get a lot of high growing or tall trees. So we've got very few species that grow very well here in terms of trees. So Badlia, I know is classified as a shrub, but one can, in our Free State, we also even consider it as a tree. Is sagewood in terms of the common name. Flowers, white or lilac in some cases. What I find attractive with it is that even if it's not in flower, just the contrast in terms of the leaf colors, you will see the gray side on the back of the leaf and it's just a beautiful plant just on its own without even flowering. I like it. And just an interesting fact that the name of the plant was named in honor of Rev. Adam Badley, an English botanist of the 17th century. So that was a fact that I just found out recently as well. But it's a lovely plant. It grows very well on our natural estate, especially on the rocky side. So it grows also quite tall, and we appreciate it. And in spring, when it's starting to, budding, then we get a lot of nice scent, which is always a refreshing moment when you go up, maybe the Gopi hiking on the hiking trails. The Olia is also very commonly known. Wild olive, flowers white. This one is very important, I think, for me in terms of culturally as well, because many people use it when they're performing, some rituals. In my language, we call it umuma. So it's a very important plant in our culture, Xhosa, and it's very resilient in frost, drought is still there. It survives all seasons. Yeah. So it's one of also the very few trees that are growing within this garden and around the Free State. It grows very well. It's beautiful, dark leaves. One can enjoy it very much in a garden. So this one is, in fact, apart from the Alu maculata, this was my second joy. I love Erythrina zeheri. It's a bulbous plant. What happens with it in winter, it is deciduous. It loses its leaves and flowers, everything. It loses everything. And then you will think that there is no plant there. But the actual bulb is very huge. You will see the common name when they call it plow breaker. That in the past, even farmers, if they were farming, they didn't know that there's a plant there, then it could break even a plow because it's a very huge bulb, which is very strong as well. So what I like about it is the striking flowers, reddish flowers that just comes up when it's spring and going into summer. It's just a takeaway. It's just something within the garden that becomes spectacular here that we enjoy, because before many of the other plants are coming up, it's already showing up. But I like the idea that it's deciduous, then you would think there's nothing. It's very interesting fact. Okay, and the rest is just, I thought I won't have maybe enough time. Then I just clumped some of the plants that we have that are growing here, like the Niphophia praecox. If you're coming in through the entrance of the garden, you will see it greeting you somehow. And it's beautiful as well. It's currently flowering within the garden. The Alu striata that you can see here, it doesn't naturally occur in the Free State, but it grows very well in our garden. We've got a section that we call, it's a succulent garden. So it's designed, as the map of South Africa. So we've got alus that grow from all the different provinces within South Africa. So that is, Nomama, I think that's your Eastern Cape, but we've got it here growing within our garden. The Colonema is also quite a simple plant, but is flowering right now within the garden. We are enjoying the color. I thought, let me just drop it in here for somebody to see. Sandedacia, which is, many people know about it, grows well in shade. It's also flowering right now in the garden. So it's my last minute additions, Cherise, which I thought I'm not gonna let go of. We took these pictures this morning within the garden. So that's what we have within the Free State now in terms of what is flowering. Thank you very much. It's a very quick presentation, and I hope you enjoyed it. And I do want to say before maybe I stop that I want to acknowledge many of the colleagues that helped, because I shared with them that I want, if you spot anything within the garden that is flowering, let me know. So credit to them. Some of my interns, Luyanda, Alungelo, Buntle, one of the Groensebenza interns that is here. So I want to thank them. And one of the supervisors, I'm sure if he's watching, I want him to know Lekgeto, Mr. Lekgeto, Samuel Lekgeto, also for his insight. Thank you so much.
Nomama, Nondumiso, sorry. I'm busy thinking about Nomama coming on. As you can see, I've changed my garden position. I keep moving around, surprising you all. Nondumiso, we share so many of the same plants that we love. Your Gerbera picture was absolutely beautiful, and it's something we do struggle to grow in Cape Town because we have winters are a little bit too wet for it. I have a few questions for you if you're ready. Can you unmute? See if
I'm
we
gonna
can
write
do
it
it.
down.
There we go. So my first question is, since you've been curator of the garden, what would you say you're most proud of?
Nondumiso, just unmute, please.
Okay. Ooh, what am I proud of? I'm proud of, we've got a section that we call, it's a garden of hope. So it's got a variety of plants, and it's we try and use things that are very, frost resistant within the garden. You will have your Capobrotis, for an example. You will have some of the salvias and all that. But what I'm proud of, we just did a revamp of that garden because it's a garden that was developed during the time of not just pandemic, but we know about the HIV scourge in few years back, maybe more than 20 years, 30 years. But that garden was developed that time, and the current horticulturist and the entire team, they worked right now just to revamp that garden and add some certain elements to the garden. So at the moment, it's my current pride. I'm proud of that. And my escape areas, like my hiking trails, because that's where I get to see a lot of other plants that are naturally occurring, which can help us to, to decide what is it that we can add into the landscape areas as well of the garden.
I love the fact that you can take from your wild areas to display in your cultivated garden, particularly for people who may be not able to walk those areas. We've done that at Kirstenbosch for so long, but Kirstenbosch, of course, represents all the flora across the nation, whereas each of the conservation gardens have to celebrate the flora just from their area. So I've always enjoyed the fact that the local gardens can celebrate and concentrate just on their flora. So it must be an absolute delight to go find something in the forest like the old-fashioned plant hunters and then grow it in your nursery and put it in the garden. How lovely. Absolutely lovely. I can't wait to visit. And then one of the things I was asking is, how often do you get black frost and what do you do about that?
Okay, I've been here now, how many years? It's almost my third year. So the black frost, it hasn't occurred in the recent past now, but I heard that years back that it has once occurred, but maybe once in every 5 years or so. But severe frost is a reality for us in the Free State. We've got in our entrance, we've got clevias, for an example, which are in color as well right now. But if we don't protect those sensitive plants, so what we have to do is to invest more into those plants, covering by, frost covers, and ensure that before winter, just when it's setting in, then we start covering those plants. Otherwise, we lose many of the plants, and then we have to start all over again now when we get into spring and into summer. But we enjoy it. I think it's lovely to have so many plants that can grow in this in this part of the world. We enjoy it a lot.
Well, thank you so much. I thoroughly enjoyed your view into your garden and all the information you gave. I appreciate you doing this so much. And then we're going to check if Nomama is ready to come on. And please stay in case there are any questions. People can pop some questions for Nondumiso and Nomama in the webinar chat, and I will pass them on to them as soon as Nomama has finished her presentation. And so Nomama, if you're ready, over to you.
The video. Hi, hi everybody. Can you hear me? Can you see me?
Yes, all good.
Okay, good. I just want to say sorry to Nondumiso that I made her to actually present. I know that sometimes you are not yet prepared to actually start. You are number 2, then all of a sudden you have to do it now. So
Nomama, before you start, just put your PowerPoint on full display. That is the button right at the bottom, or just say start from beginning on the left-hand side, the first button. Just on top at the menus, just say start from the beginning. Left on the top. See if
right
some...
at the
Yes, yes. Okay, perfect. You're good to go.
Okay. All right. As everyone has said, Cherise has already done the introduction. My name is Nomama Mei. I'm working for SNB in Kwelera National Botanical Garden. The baby of SNB, we were the 10th of the 11 botanic gardens at SNB. With the baby, it's one garden that has started from scratch. I mean, all the other gardens were already up, like the Toyando, if you can think of, is already, there's at least buildings. I have no buildings. In Kwelera, I'm still building a botanical garden. So I thought when there was a request to showcase what's flowering around our garden and our surroundings, I can have something to share because we live in very beautiful landscapes around, and we have our beautiful forest that we can really brag about. And we have plants. You know, Eastern Cape is one of those provinces that has really quite a diverse of flora. So I thought, why not, you know? So yeah, I just want to start. Yeah, okay. Our botanic garden, for those who've never been to East London, we are in East London, in Buffalo City Municipality in the Eastern Cape. Our botanic garden is in the Wild Coast, and it extends from the Gunubi Estuary to Kwelera Estuary in the Wild Coast. So as I said, we are the 10th one in the network of SNB Botanic Gardens. We were launched in 2014 and we opened in 2015. Our land is 170 hectares, of which 160 of that is pristine, which is the forest. We have a beautiful sand dune forest that is 16 kilometers long, that, as I said, stretches from Gunubi river mouth to Kwelera river mouth, which we're busy developing. So we're going to do, out of that 170, 10 hectares of that land is earmarked for the botanic garden that we are busy with. And the 160 hectares of land, which is a sand dune forest, beautiful. We are managing it with Eastern Cape Parks and Tourism Agency. They were given years ago managing authority to look after the nature reserve. In fact, all the nature reserve in the Eastern Cape besides the private one. So that particular area, which is the 160, we are managing it with the PTA, which is Eastern Cape Parks and Tourism Agency. It is representative of the coastal dune forest, coastal grassland, and Albany thicket. It's a very, very beautiful forest for people who love hiking. It has beautiful epiphytes, beautiful understory plants, beautiful milkwoods, beautiful yellowwoods, Hyperphalam Kafram. If you really love a forest, you will enjoy it so much. So we've opened up trails from both the side of the garden where we're going to develop, and at the back of the grassland. It is amazing. So as I said, we are a coastal garden. We're right in the sea. I don't know whether you'll be able to see my pointer. Can you see? There's Kwelera river mouth. This whole area is the 160 hectares of land, which stretches from Kwelera river to Gunubi river. As you can see, that whole part, that whole area that is dense with trees, it is the forest, the pristine forest that I'm talking about, that has these beautiful and amazing tall trees. in different shades. And then here, that's where we bought the 10 hectares of land that SANBI is putting out a beautiful and a very expensive investment of putting up this beautiful botanic garden. And then here, we have 2 villages that are nestled in our forest. This is Sunrise on Sea. It has plus minus 200 houses. And then Kwelera River Mouth, which has 35 houses. They are right in our beautiful and botanic garden, and they may not extend, because if they do extend their houses, they will be then touching on our beautiful pristine forest. Yeah, so that's how it stretches all the way from here. This is just to, it's not a very nice slide, just to highlight our beautiful forest, where it starts and where it ends. Here we are. We have started with the buildings. I thought, let me show this beautiful picture, and I'm very proud, and it's a very big project to take on. But I said to myself, when the opportunity came up at Kirstenbosch, Cherise knows I worked with her for so many years. I mean, 5 years of my life I spent there. I said to myself, I'm taking up this project. It's quite big, it scares me, but I'm going to take it. And because Eastern Cape is home, just like Nondumiso, I've been in the Cape forever. I spent half of my life, I'm in my 40s now. I've spent half of my life in the Western Cape. So I thought, why not come home and be close to my family as well, and embark on this beautiful journey of building the first National Botanic Garden in the Eastern Cape. So what you see here, here's a beautiful forest of ours, right there, the backdrop, and the beautiful ocean. The Kwelera estuary will be on the other side. So far, because it's a very, very big project, it's a very huge investment that we're putting on the ground. It's if we estimated when we're doing our calculations, at least to finish the whole the infrastructure as well as the landscaped area, it's going to cost us around 200 million, and government doesn't have, because we know that this is a government project, government doesn't have so much money, so they gave us in phases. I mean, they gave us in drips and drabs so that we can start first phase, second phase, and the third phase. So we are on phase 1. So for phase 1, we thought, why not start with the very first things? We did the visitor center, as you can see, and our guard house here, as you enter, the gate is around here, and our staff facility that is tucked in right at the back where the nursery is going to be. So this is our visitor center. So and then where the site has established itself, we're going to put up our admin buildings. They will be facing the ocean, beautiful as ever. This is our whole parking area. And then our environmental education center will be around here. And then as you proceed, the garden, the garden will then start right in front of the visitor center. But if you enter from the gate, then the road will lead you to the service road that takes you to the nursery right at the back. We also want to conceal the nursery and the staff accommodation from the public. So it will, you will park your car and you enter this building, and then you see this beautiful forest at the backdrop and the landscaped garden. So our landscaping plan, I mean, we have all the different themes, bioregional gardens. We have your savanna, we have your fynbos, we have your namakaru, we have your forest plants, we have children's garden, because children are very important at SANBI. We have environmental education center that will be right next to this garden. So we want our kids to have an area where they're going to play and enjoy and learn about biodiversity and conservation. So yeah, and then we will have medicinal plants, because Eastern Cape is one of those provinces that use a lot of medicinal plants. So we can't not have a medicinal garden, as well as a Xhosa crawl where people will really relate, especially our traditional people. And we have 5 wetlands that are in the garden. You know, wetlands are quite sacred places. You may not tamper with them, and even legislation does not allow you to do anything on them. But what we're going to do, we're going to rehabilitate them and create beautiful boardwalks so that people can appreciate and also attract more biodiversity in them. So yeah, I can take until tomorrow. I can talk until tomorrow about this project because it is in my heart. I love it so much. So this is how far we've gone in terms of buildings. 3 buildings, and then this picture was taken weeks ago. So we are busy with the paving as well of the whole parking area, and we have mapped out where the where the first themed gardens are going to be. So yeah, it is definitely a work in progress and something to look forward to. So currently what we are doing in the Botanic Garden, because you can ask yourself as to, now that you are still building this garden, what are you doing? We are controlling the aliens and invasive species in the 160 hectares of land. As you know that we are infested, the whole country in fact is infested with aliens. So we are removing them. Our estate team is busy removing the aliens and invasive on the 160 hectares of land. I have a beautifully established production nursery where all these plants that I will be showcasing are coming from the nursery. So as I said, there's no landscaped area. So all these plants will be coming from our nursery. We are selling the plants to the public also to promote indigenous plants so that people can have remove all the exotics that they have and start appreciating our own plants that are so beautiful and also that are very much used to our climatic conditions, because it is now, we only started with the first rains. Our plants are so acclimatized to our environment. It's summer rainfall area. Our rains start in September, later to March, and then from there there's no water at all. So it's very important that that's the work that we're preaching to our people, that plant your own plant, plant your own endemics. Don't take out those exotics that are thieving on our water. So, and also we're busy with bulking up of skeletal plants, your trees and shrubs. And we do a lot of environmental education. We invite schools, surrounding schools to come. We teach them about biodiversity. We teach them about plants, you know, and so that about environment, that they need to appreciate what's around them. We have international beach cleanups every year. They come and work with us, and we tell them about the importance of looking after the oceans. You know, we only have one environment, and if we destroy what we have, I mean, there's nothing for them left. So as the custodians, they need to really look after the environment, because it really belongs to them in the end, because we'll grow old. So if we don't give them the skills and teach them on how to do this, I mean, there will be nothing for them. So what's blooming, Kwelera? Cherise, you would love what's on the screen. This is Streptocarpus meyeri. It's in bloom as we speak. It is in our nursery. It's a deep shade plant. If you would lighten up those dark areas of your garden with this beauty, it's amazing. It's 5 white petals with a mauve throat. Leaves are slightly hairy and quite thick, and it's propagated from seeds and leaf cuttings, very easy from seeds and from cuttings, you know, very fine seeds, very fine and easy to do from cuttings. If you, I've freshly sown them in cocoa pit, and germination took me 3 weeks to get there. And I don't have fancy structures in Kwelera. Those who visited the garden, they know I don't have any. I've got a Bure Makaplan situation. I've got just a structure, a propagation house that I've just made out of plastic of cuts and some poles and a shade net of 80-20 density. And then, you know what, I'm able to grow many plants in them. Of course, some plants really would like a little bit of humidity, which I don't have. It's quite cooking in there, and I have no bottom heat at all, but most plants do germinate. Yeah. And this is Curio radicans. It's a succulent creeper. It's very beautiful. It's an Asteraceae. It's very good for hanging baskets and rockeries. It flowers from winter throughout to September. It doesn't disappoint as well. And I've tried it from cuttings. I never tried it from seed. It's very easy to root your cuttings as well. This is gladiolus. This is super beautiful. I love it. It grows very wild in our botanic garden. It belongs to the iridaceae family. It's a grassland species. As I said, it grows naturally into our gardens. There is a bee hovering around, ready to pollinate. We've propped it from seeds. You know, if you open those capsules, lots and lots of seeds that are in there. We can sow it in summer. We've sown it in summer with no bottom heat, with the average temperature of our modest propagation house at 27 degrees. I've got some thermometers there to monitor the temperature. So if you would sow lightly in your cocoa pit and you water as it necessary, cocoa pit holds a lot of moisture. So you would then have to really monitor it very closely. This is your Hypoxis villosa. Your African potato, very medicinal, a lot in the Eastern Cape. It's pollinated by bees, those beautiful star-shaped flowers. What I've observed about it, it hates a lot of water or a dense medium. Your medium should really drain very well. And many times I've really struggled a lot in sourcing sand. And then to keep it alive, then you would put it in any medium that you have at the time. But I realized that it really hates a dense medium. It wants your sand to be a lot in your growing medium. So I've also done it through division. I've harvested beautiful seeds of it, and you have to sow them as fresh as possible. And I got very good germination with it. Orthona capensis is an Asteraceae. It's beautiful as well, grow very flat with its yellow daisy, and it's flowering now as I speak. That picture was taken this morning, literally. It's good for rockeries as well as your hanging baskets. It's very water-wise. It can take a bit of sun as well as shade, because where I'm growing it in front of our office space, it gets afternoon sun, but as you can see, it's really, really beautiful. I mean, it's doing its thing. I've never seen pollinators at all. I did it from cuttings. I propped it from cuttings. Leucospermum cordifolium is a Proteaceae family. This picture was taken in Van Stadens in PE. We have a fynbos biome there. So I've seen, I don't have it in our nursery. So it's popping everywhere in East London. Those who have it in their gardens, it's popping. It's amazing. I've taken fresh material from Van Stadens, and I was really, really unlucky. But it's a pretty thing. And in our beautiful garden, I'll definitely have a fynbos patch, of which, yeah, I still have to get that one right, because I was really not successful at all in propagating it. Oh, this one is a Salvia africana lutea. It's beautiful as well. I had collected it from Jeffreys Bay. It's a beautiful, fragrant plant. This one that you see here, what I've done, I've got some plants that are in bags that are in the nursery. I planted this one in front of our garden office. Also, it gets the afternoon sunlight, beautiful smell, very water-wise. It's a full sun plant, but it does its thing with us, because the ones that are in the nursery are in full sun, and they all the same age, they're all flowering. This one is right in front of our garden office. I can safely say that it does take a little bit of shade as well. It's flowering as we speak. I propagated it from cuttings, and I made lots and lots of plants in our modest structures. All of my cuttings did it, but take very soft material, and you do it on cocoa peat as well as perlite. And after 6 weeks, you have your rooted cuttings. Trosanthemum hispidum, beautiful as ever. It's popping as we speak. It's amazing. It's an Azoaceae family, beautiful dark mauve color flower. It's flowering as we speak. easy to prop through cuttings and seed, gets lots of plants. From one capsule, you get many plants in it. It's pollinated by bees. I saw bees hovering around, but you know, with bees, it's very difficult to capture them. So yeah, it's good for rockeries, your hanging baskets, very water-wise, plant in poor soils. It does not mind sandy soil, but not heavy soils. You're quite very organic. It likes its sand. Pelargonium alchemiloides, it grows naturally here in Kwelera. You can go down the road, you'll find it anywhere. Beautiful generaceae family, grows naturally in our garden. It flowers as we speak. Less water is required. You can do it from cuttings as well as seeds. It's the least concern when it comes to conservation status. It's a beautiful garden plant, very low growing, and it can be a very good ground cover. Chlorophyllum cruciatum. It is endangered. We need to protect it. It's an Azoaceae family, very beautiful, popping big yellow flowers. As we speak, there's a potential pollinator. As you can see, I took it in the afternoon in our nursery. Flourishes in sandy soil. It doesn't like dense medium at all. Otherwise, it will rot. Pelargonium reniforme, beautiful as ever, Geraniaceae family, beautiful tuberous pelargonium. It also flowers throughout. I've never seen a plant that just gives you flowers throughout. It's in flower as we speak. This picture was taken this afternoon. It has medicinal properties and it's very water-wise. And as you can imagine, most of my plants, like this one, is in the planting bags outside. I didn't pour it out. Some plants in planting bags, I always say that you just have to keep them alive because they are not in soil where they can grow in their full potential, where they can extract nutrients as well as water as is necessary. They confined into a bag, but some plants do their thing and they flower, and that's what we're looking for. Your old garden plant, Tecoma capensis, it grows along the road in Kwelera Road. Bignowesi family is flowering also throughout the year. Deep orange trumpet-shaped flowers. It's pollinated by birds. It's propagated. It was my very first time to see that. I mean, when I was a student, I've never seen Tecoma capensis seeds. When I came here, when it flowered and it set seeds, I collected seeds, and then I can tell you now, with our modest structures, I had only 6 days for it to germinate. It's very water-wise, very water-resistant, and stress-resistant because they are in bags, sitting there, but they do their thing, they flower. Gazania crepsiana, pretty Azoaceae, beautiful big flower. I think for an impact, for your garden bed, you want something that will make an impact with big noticeable flowers. Very big to orange, and that prominent cycle is there. It's in flower. I've taken it outside in the nursery, spotted bees as pollinators. I did it from seeds. Pick seeds after flowering, sowed in summer. I plant in masses to fill up gaps and make so that they can make a statement. Mewilla plumbii, it's a hyacinthia, beautiful blue flowers. In September, it's flowering as we speak. There's a little bit of a worm there. It's a bulbous and it goes dormant in winter. It sleeps in winter and start getting all its reserves so that when it wakes up, it can just form its leaves as well as its flowers. Very long stem flower that it shoots out, and it's a very beautiful garden plant. Albucanisonii, also has Hyacinthaceae family. It's flowering now as I speak outside. Very attractive garden plant. It grows into a beautiful height as well and when it's very happy. And it's never disappointed with its flowers. It flowers forever as well. I did it from seeds. I just got few mother plants, and then the rest I did them from seeds. And then seeds also germinate quite easily within a very short space of time. Our Clivia miniata is also in our deep shade area, Amaryllidaceae. Is it in flower as we speak? It's a very hardy plant, easy to propagate from seeds and well as division. It bears red, fleshy seeds. And I also did it I just divided it and then made more of one plant. Pavonia primosa, beautiful Mavaceae family. I love it. It's a beautiful shrub. It's decorative garden plants. It's neatly growing. It's not scraggy. Yeah, and it needs less pruning. It doesn't need a lot of water. I propped it from seeds and cuttings. Also, what is interesting about it, it closes off when there's no sun, and then as soon as the sun comes out, it pops out. Very beautiful. Yeah. Next, your old garden plant as well, your Plumbego auriculata, Plumbegiaceae. Also, I took it from our beautiful garden. It grows as you go down to where the garden is established. I did it from cuttings. It grows very tall. It's powder blue flowers throughout the year as well. It does its thing, very water-wise. It's as tough as a nail. And then that was my last one. Thank you.
Nomama, you won my heart with your Streptocarpus, Mary. You know. So Streptocarpus were my collection at Kirstenbosch. As you can see, I've now moved inside. It finally got cool enough today, just to say to you all, I am now in an indoor venue. But Nomama, your Streptocarpus. Oh, wonderful. And she says, Mary, grow. It isn't, because it's very fussy about the amount of water.
Yeah.
So well done. Well
done.
No,
it's doing its thing. Thank you so much.
I think the thing, Nondumiso, if you could put your video on as well. I just want to say that the thing I've enjoyed most about your presentations is to see in Nomama's case, the plants fresh from the garden, and to see what is endemic to your spaces. You know, many of the plants we're so familiar with in Cape Town and surrounds and wherever we are in the world where we're sitting, but we seldom recognize where they originally came from or where they like to be best. Nondumiso, I have a question for you. I was asked, why is the soap aloe called a soap aloe?
If I don't know,
I'm sure
I'm
you
joking,
do.
I'm joking. Because the sap, you know, with the soap aloe, there's a sap there that people use it as soap. So that's why, you know, some local groups that they were using it before. There's, I don't know what to call this, that now we are modernized. So we don't go and use all those things anymore, but they were using that as soap because they didn't have this modern soap that we have these days. So that's where that name originates from.
I think that's wonderful. You know, nature always gives one way or the other. It really, really does. I want to compliment you both on your excellent photos. And Nomama, that hovering bee. And Nondumiso, so great to get your students and interns involved. I don't want to sound funny when I say, but I'm so proud of you both. I'm so proud of you both. Just women really excelling in your garden spaces with these wonderful, definitely earned positions of curators and leadership positions in your gardens. And the reason I asked you not to focus so much on conservation, but on your plants and your gardens themselves, is that at the core, I know you're both such passionate plant people, and you're both passionate for people. So I just wanted to say thank you so much for joining us today, sharing your plants and the time it takes to put a presentation together. I just want to get in a car and get to your gardens and see it for myself. Thank you for bringing it alive. And also take care of your wild areas. I know your cultivated gardens take up a lot of your time, but your wild areas, both of you, have such a precious legacy that you're caretakers of. So well done, and thank you so much.
You're welcome. You are welcome, Cherise. Thank you to Botsok and you all for inviting us and everybody else who is part of this webinar. We really appreciate you. If you are in Free State, please pop in here.
Yes.
As well as this side, just come and see. Just come and see what
we've got a plant sale, Cherise, this coming on the 7th of October. So if people want to come and get to see some of the plants, they can, because we've got like tuberous available there on the plant sale.
Oh.
So getting in my car now. I should be there by the 7th.
I love Jebra so much. So I would come. I would do the 6-hour drive to your place.
I want some of your Merwillas, Nomama.
Oh, yes,
And the
yeah.
other thing I wanted to say to you, Nomama, is with the Proteaceae, the leucospermum, which you probably know, but I have found this in my horticultural experience, that when a plant does not want to take from cuttings, if you can get the seed going, the seed can travel many, many miles and are far more adaptable. They seem to adapt better to the environment they wake up in than one taking cuttings from one environment, trying to get them going in another. So whenever anyone is struggling to get plants going, try get hold of the seed. They're far more forgiving once they've woken up and germinated. So good luck with growing proteas in East London.
Yeah, definitely. Oh,
Is
wow.
from the famous kingdom of the world. I know you can do it. You're an excellent grower. And thank you, Nondumiso. That reminds me that Kirstenbosch is having their annual plant sale. I'm going to see if I can share my screen quickly. There we go. A very exciting opportunity. It's going to be in the Old Mutual Conference Centre, which is different. It's not going to be down at the Stone Cottages. And it is on the 7th and 8th of October. And the theme for the Kirstenbosch Plant Fair is bringing back biodiversity into our gardens. So let the plant fairs reign free. The last webinar, I had a list of what was going on in the country. But honestly, all I can say to you is it's open gardens and plant fairs. Google your local area, go to your plant fairs and enjoy seeing the plants planted in the open gardens. And thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful evening. Till next time.